I do think that it is manly in the way that, like, my dad would try to fix the sink, and he's not a plumber.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so, like, we own the tools, because you can buy tools.
Yes.
Don't just let anybody have the tools. They don't ask you if you're going to tear up your house at all. They'll let you buy the hammer, the screwdriver. They'll let you buy, like, the
hatchet.
And so then you bring it home, and in your head as a man, you're like, I have the tools. So if anything happens, I'm at least halfway there. Never mind, the other half is like knowledge. And so then there's like a leaky faucet, and so you get under the sink, you move all the Lysol, all the stuff out of the way, and then you're under there, and it's very uncomfortable. You're like, wow, I can't believe that there are people that do this without complaining. And then the way that thought process.
Here's Trump on Saturday mocking the speech impediment Joe Biden has had since childhood.
2 nights ago, we all heard Crooked Joe's angry, dark, hate-filled rant of a State of the Union address. Didn't it bring us together? Remember, he said, I'm going to bring the country together.
Wow. You really want to go there? First of all, Biden didn't stutter like that. Second, if you want to make this a word-talking contest, you're one of the weirdest speakers in human history.
He branded himself as the master deal maker, a rich outsider set to upend Washington. But when Johnson and Stephen Colbert step in, that glossy image cracks fast. They spotlight the chaos, blunders, and contradictions that trail him, tearing apart the story he sells. Whether in business or the presidency, their wit exposes an empire powered less by strategy and more by spectacle.
Trump knows Epstein so well. They were friends. Trump lived so close to Epstein in Florida that Epstein had to knock on his door and let him know he was on the sex offender registry. Like, that's how close they lived together. He knocked on the door, was like, hi, the court has ordered me to notify you that I'm in the area. I have been convicted of a few crimes, and I left my suit jacket over here last night, so.
Of course, when Trump hasn't been asleep, he's been violating his gag order by posting messages attacking witnesses and prosecutors and jurors. So before testimony resumed today, Judge Merchan finally issued his ruling on those violations, fining Trump $9,000. Now, I know, $9,000 may not seem like a lot to a successful businessman.
Donald Trump doesn't just walk in, he takes over the room, acting as if the spotlight was made for him. For years, he's blended politics with pop culture through sheer force of personality. But when Johnson and Stephen Colbert fire back, the glitter fades. What's left is less a grand show and more a mix of humor, disorder, and a hint of downfall.
They created the Epstein files, just like they created the fake, all caps, Hillary Clinton, Christopher Steele dossier that they used on me. And now my so-called friends, this man hurt because my so-called friends, as a world leader, my so-called friends is the most Regina George Mean Girls line I've ever heard in my entire life. My so-called friends is wild.
Johnson cut straight to the point, painting Trump as a president who plays the role of entertainer more than statesman. Governing takes a back seat as he transforms rallies into season finales, press briefings into slip-ups, and tweets into running gags. Johnson quips that Trump sees the Oval Office as little more than an extension of Mar-a-Lago, where politics and performance merge into one ongoing show.
Also is this man was sitting here knowing that he knows Epstein. He's sitting here knowing that this looks very bad. And he did the DOJ thing, even though it's not directly tied to him, even though the president isn't allowed to interfere. He clearly did the DOJ thing where he told them to shut it down. And now people are rebelling against him. And he's sitting there like, how can I make it DEI?
Stephen Colbert pushes the point further, casting Trump as a performer who sells magic but serves up little more than cheap fanfare. His gift isn't leading, it's misdirection. With grand claims of the best and recycled slogans fit for an infomercial, Colbert argues Trump thrives on keeping people dazzled, hiding the lack of substance behind smoke, mirrors, and a gold-plated act.
No, you fool! Now there's one less job. Don't you see? You fell into her trap. But it makes sense. He fires anyone who gives him bad news. Mr. Dr. Cardiologist, you clearly rigged my cholesterol to be 1,000 and said my blood type was aioli. You're fired. I happen to know it's honey.
Josh Johnson spotlights Trump's obsession with exaggeration. For Trump, nothing is simple, it's always the biggest or the best. Johnson cracks that even a sandbox would be sold as world-class luxury, while a monopoly loss would somehow be framed as a brilliant business move. In Trump's universe, the superlatives never end, and reality is left lagging behind.
Foreign diplomats, world leaders had a dinner that Trump was at, and they made fun. This is his first term. They made fun of him at the dinner. He could probably hear him in the background. They were laughing. It was like Boris Johnson and Justin Trudeau and other people, and they were over here doing him. They were over here, like just making fun of him hard, cracking up, talking about how he doesn't know how to spell, everything.
Clearly, you are not eager to see Kid Rock dance the Nutcracker, but the bill's sponsor says that Trump is a patron of the arts and a staple of the pop culture landscape. I'm sorry, but it's true. Trump is a staple of pop culture. Just last week, he was great.
Stephen Colbert tears into Trump's speeches, calling them live parodies, sentences that wander, stall, and swerve off track. He jokes that Trump treats grammar the way he treats alliances, optional. Listening, Colbert says, is like following a GPS on the fritz. Josh Johnson piles on, noting Trump saw the presidency less as service and more as brand building, with his slogan doubling as merchandise. Colbert wraps it up by pointing to Trump's endless hunger for praise, likening him to a toddler who sees applause not as encouragement, but as a daily necessity.
A little while later, he hit it. I didn't know if it would come up again. I've been waiting. He hit it. He was like, the immigrants are coming and they are taking the black jobs. I've been wondering what a black job was since the debate, because he said at the debate and nobody called him on it. Nobody caught it or anything. Black jobs. And then one of the women up there, because it was 3 women interviewing him. 3 black journalists were interviewing him, and one was like, "Sir, what is a black job?" And then he was like,
allow me to demonstrate what Donald Trump is going for here. I don't care about pedophilia anymore. Delish.
For Trump, every setback is fake, and every bad poll is rigged. Colbert and Johnson joke that his confidence rises and falls with crowd size, so much so that even a kitten rescue would need a louder encore. Johnson also mocks his fast food obsession, recalling the bizarre moment when a championship team was welcomed to the White House with stacks of burgers, turning a historic visit into a drive-through feast in a fancy setting. Colbert then takes aim at Trump's financial myth. For decades, he sold the image of a self-made mogul, yet the record shows bankrupt casinos, massive debt, and failure spun as brilliance. Only Trump, Colbert quips, could lose at a business built for winning. His empire wasn't about triumph, it was about rebranding losses until they looked like victory.
Time ago, but according to Epstein's brother Mark Epstein, Jeffrey said he stopped hanging out with Trump when he realized Trump was a crook. Wow! That's extraordinary. Amazing. Jeffrey Epstein breaking it off with you because you're a crook is like walking into an intervention organized by Rudy Giuliani.
Not even more expensive housing?
Tariffs are off.
But that will increase the trade deficit.
On again.
Well, what about the price of breakfast?
Off in the morning, on at night.
But Canada is retaliating.
Off with Canada, on with China. We'll go to war with China. I don't give a
Josh, China has nukes.
No tariffs on China. In fact, we're part of China now. All hail President Xi. You're the snake, motherfucker. Get on.
the speech that he gave, the rally he gave that I was talking about before, was towards the end of his presidency. And I think this is what I think happened. He started bringing up the water pressure. I'm pretty sure he tried to flush documents that day. Before the rally, like they were like, Mr. President, we have to go. Like we have to go. We're going to be late. And he's like, you know, he read something that didn't seem good. Everybody jokes he can't read. The man can read. He probably read it and was like, ah.
Josh Johnson pokes fun at Trump's habit of casting himself as a historic giant. He's not just a president in his own mind, he's Washington, Lincoln, even Churchill, and on some days maybe Moses. Johnson jokes that every press event feels like a Mount Rushmore audition, though Trump's version would likely feature neon lights and a food court. Colbert zeroes in on Trump's flexible grip on truth, saying he doesn't just lie. He builds whole alternate worlds where he's always the hero and critics are villains. Johnson adds that Trump dodges responsibility at every turn. If the economy dips, it's the Fed's fault. If policies flop, it's Congress. Even the weather could end up on his enemies' list. Johnson sums it up by comparing him to a driver who keeps crashing cars but blames the stop signs.